Jeff Winter, please.
Good evening, Jeff Winter, 22 Morey Road. By the way, anything that Joan Kick says, I'll agree with that because she's educated at least a few of my children, and they are now in college, and it is thanks to her that they actually made it, right, Joan? All right. Now, the value of libraries is that you can learn a lot of things there. And a recent letter that was sent out by one of the members of the town council read like so, for those of you who feel like you haven't been heard for a long time. I quote, "I have heard time and again, my opinion doesn't matter, or the town doesn't care what I have to say. I am writing you today to tell you that that is not true. In order to ensure that your voice may be heard, I ask that you fill out an attached postcard. By doing this, I will be able to better understand your needs and desires as I carry out my duties on the town council." Well, folks, there's a rule called the Freedom of Information Act. And the Freedom of Information Act allows any member of the public to request documents from elected officials or people working for towns and municipalities to see relevant documents regarding matters that they feel are important. In this letter that also included postage, postcards, probably cost of mailing lists, stationeries, etc., Mr. Pete Bass does not attribute who paid for this. Now, yet he writes in this as though it is an official document. In fact, he even puts the town symbol of New Milford, the flag developed by Mr. Orensky, on the postcard and even on a custom-made stamp. I sent Mr. Bass a Freedom of Information Act request. He has yet to respond. Now, as John Tower and other attorneys here know, and actually all of you on the town council probably know, that the Freedom of Information Act requires a response within 4 days. You don't have to give over the documents in 4 days, but it is required that you acknowledge receipt of the document. That has not been done. And that, of course, is long past. The town clerk of New Milford responded immediately and courteously and acknowledged that she had no knowledge of this. She even forwarded it to the town finance director just in case this was an official mailing and it was paid for by the town. And they responded properly. And it was even forwarded to the mayor's office. And the mayor acknowledged properly and timely that they, in the fashion that they should. If we're waiting weeks past the deadline for Mr. Bass to respond, what are we to expect from our public servants? There is an absolute duty, and you have broken that duty. In fact, it's actually state law, if I'm not mistaken. Would that be correct, John? Okay. So I guess the question is, I don't need a response tonight because I need documentation. But I think it's fair for the people of New Milford to know, and since you do say that you are here to represent them and that you will hear them, that if you're not going to answer a legal requirement, should they at all trust that you will answer them in any way, shape, or form? Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Greg Mullen, please.
Hi, Greg Mullen, 39 Meadowood Drive, New Milford. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I was pleased and impressed to see the wonderful turnout by the library supporters. I'd like to remind Mr. Winter, if he does not know, that if he doesn't get a response, you can file a complaint with the state, and they will take the matter up. Okay. I've asked probably at least a half a dozen FOI requests from the town, from the mayor, with no response whatsoever. I filed complaints, followed the channels, and got the information I was looking for. I understand I'm hearing you for the last few months, you must be running for town council because you've been going after Pete Bass every time you get up here. It's very obvious. So I'm assuming you're running.